Good evening and salutations. I've been doing the arduous task of engaging myself in One Piece discourse because it is fun and I enjoy talking about One Piece. It is hilarious, but also there is the nonsense that people say that Kaido is a horribly written character. And I just want to say this right now. The King of Beasts is a failure. Not in character writing, not in backstory. He is just a failure. He is raw, unadulterated strength with the absence of original vision or a self-defined purpose. He is living proof that a legacy cannot be built when you have nothing to build within that legacy. He is merely a building material for a prison. His very first jarring introduction, when he fell from the sky and he was angry that he couldn't die, gave us all the information we needed to know about his entire character. Very realistically, a lot of One Piece characters, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, all of them have the same fundamental goal. They have goals. What is the goal of the King of Beasts? What is his goal? Find the One Piece? Cause a war? What happens after that war? No, his goal is to have a monumental death, but he doesn't know how to do it. He has no clue. He's following the echoes of everybody around him. We were not presented with a true sovereign or a visionary conqueror, but with a being who was fundamentally and irrevocably a prisoner. He was a prisoner of ideals he could never authentically embody, a prisoner of legacies he could never rightfully claim, a prisoner of a form of greatness that was always eternally shimmering just beyond his grasp. Visible but never attainable. He was not a classic villain with a clear conquering vision of a new world order, no Skeletors or, I can't think of another, Megatron. He didn't have anything like that. He was a desperate patchwork monster stitched together from the discarded hides of borrowed ambitions of men far greater than he, and his entire reign was nothing more than an agonizing, decades-long performance of a role for which he had been given no original script. A hollow king playing a part written by the ghost of his betters. That is his entire character. But before I continue with this long and crazy rant, you guys ready for an ad?
Hey, you actually stuck around for the ad? I'm so proud of you. Let me tell you what I'm pitching to you real fast. Here's something you can do when you're bored playing games and getting paid for it. If you hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen right now, you see that popping up right there? Look at that. It's so cool. It's so convenient. You can sign up to freecash.com and start right away. Now, I know your inclination to say this is a scam, but I assure you, I tried it myself. I thought it was a scam myself. Actually, I did actually try it out and it actually worked. I didn't expect to actually get paid, but I'm getting moolah, baby. It's simple. Create an account with your email and password. It takes seconds. Literal seconds. Inside, you'll see a wall of games, a bevy of things, and offers. Pick one you actually enjoy, play through levels, and cash lands straight into your free cash account. It's like turning your downtime into a side hustle without even noticing. Some people pull in $10 to $20 a day, but I've seen reports of much more moolah, Mr. Krabs. I've seen Scrooge McDuck numbers, and you can do this all while laying in your bedroom playing games on your phone. All they ask of you is that you spend your time playing the video games. They just want your time. Now, you could spend a little bucks in-game to hit levels faster, which lets you unlock the bigger offers and payouts because you gotta hit the levels to get bigger payouts. That's how some users end up earning hundreds, even $500 or more on certain offers. It's crazy, but you don't have to spend anything. You can just stick to the free levels like I did and still cash out. The whole point is that instead of just sitting there scrolling endlessly through TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or whatever, you're playing and earning at the same time. When it's time to cash out, you got options. You want to hit up PayPal, you want some gift cards, you can do whatever you want to. It's your decision. It's your world. I'm just living in it. So if you're curious, hit the link in my description or scan the code that's been on screen the entire time. You can just scan the code right there. You have the ability to just screen capture, scan the code, click the description. Make sure you do it through me, guys. Sign up for my link because I'm broke, guys. I'm doing this for the money, man. I got my family locked up. I beg you, please start playing for cash in your spare time. And when you use my link or QR code, you'll get a $5 bonus to kick things right off. So go ahead and get the free cash right now. Freecash.com is zero CV. You're not responsible for any bodily harm, any extra harm, anybody getting destroyed, anybody getting hit with a meteor, anybody getting hit with a natural disaster, anybody getting hit with the power of God, anybody with God's wrath, any thunder striking your body, anybody that actually has kids because of this, anybody that gains thousands of dollars, they do not use that in order to attack me or strike me and send drones to my house to destroy my entire body. I appreciate that. That'd be lovely. Thank you. I would appreciate that a lot. And if you could enjoy this, just use my link in the description. Like I said before, use the QR code. Go ahead and do that. Everything's bye.
Okay, back to whatever I was talking about before. So, about Kaido. Let's talk about his worldview. His very understanding of what it meant to be powerful and significant. He was a second-hand replica. A desperate and utterly and ultimately just chaotically futile attempt to try on the skins of legendary men to see if any would finally fit his massive but spiritually stunted frame. He looked to the pinnacle of the pirate era, saw Gold Roger, a man who conquered the Grand Line. No, not with an army as he had, not with thousands of allegiances, no, but with his crew. That's it. The unbending force of will in his attacks and his power, with his haki. That's it. Becoming the Pirate King through a journey of freedom and discovery, not tying himself to one single item, not controlling anything. That is what it means to be the king of the pirates. But Kaido didn't understand that. Kaido obsessively, single-mindedly focused on haki as the ultimate key to legacy. You can't conquer the world. You gotta use Gotta use your willpower, gotta use that. He built his entire fighting philosophy around it, believing that to master this internal power was to claim Roger's mantle. But the reality is that he never truly mastered it. Not in the transcendent, effortless way that Roger or even Shanks seemingly had. His haki was overwhelming, concussive, a cudgel of immense power used to bludgeon his opponents into submission. It lacked the sublime finesse, the spiritual depth, the almost artistic quality that marks the true apex of this power. And despite the reservations I have about Mihawk, I feel like Mihawk also has this in some capacity as well, despite the fact that Mihawk has done absolutely nothing. He's a worthless character, and I hate him. But he was forever chasing Roger's immense shadow, building a massive army, creating a world-ending ability, power he has, all this garbage. That's what he was trying to do, in a pathetic attempt to replicate a journey that was, at its very core, about liberation and joy, but he made it joyless and mechanical, and it was stupid. Then, we gotta talk about the one and only, the chaotic demonic specter that hunts us right now and in the current day in the manga. We gotta talk about Rox. Rox Davy. Rox Davy. The shadowy figure who fought not just for treasure or a title. No. He wanted to become the king of the world itself. Even with deeper motivations that we know right now, he still wanted to be the king of the world and stand atop the entire global order and crush it beneath his heel. Kaido absorbed this apocalyptic ambition into his own hollow core, dreaming of instigating a massive, world-shattering war that would burn the entire existing structure to the ground. This was not an original idea born of his own philosophy. It was an inherited fantasy. And you can't force inherited will. You can't do that. He meticulously amassed a massive beast-themed crew. He industrialized Wano into a weapon factory that supplied the world's conflicts. And he formed shaky alliances all in the service of this second-hand cataclysmic dream. But he was no Rox. He was no Zebek, no Saber. He fundamentally lacked the primordial terrifying charisma, the dark gravitational pull that could truly unite monstrous egos under a single terrifying banner. His crew, the Beast Pirates, right, was held together not by a shared revolutionary vision, but by a base culture of fear, brute strength, and the promise of endless chaotic revelry. Basically, Pirate Island. That was what Onigashima was. Onigashima, whatever you say. He holed himself up in the isolated fortified fortress of Wano, playing at world conquest from a sealed-off kingdom. This is a far cry from the man who directly challenged the combined forces of the world at God Valley. He was cosplaying. He was cosplaying as a world ender from the locked and darkened room in his own limited imagination because he doesn't have any. And then this profound lack of originality extends to the very structure of his organization. A direct and pale imitation of the Rox model, having no original vision for what a pirate crew should be. Even Big Mom, right? Even Big Mom decided to have her entire crew of her children, a whole nation of love that was born out of DNA revelry. That would have been great because she knew she couldn't trust unformed alliances of chosen family, so she made her family of her own volition. At least if you share my DNA, at least you have some camaraderie, some kinship with me. Big Mom did that at the very least, despite the fact that it still sucked. Kaido didn't even try. He defaulted to the only method he understood from his formative years: overwhelming power and forced subjugation. Just as Rox gathered monsters by being the most monstrous and doing Davy back fights, that was the entire thing, Kaido sought to build his empire by defeating powerful individuals and breaking their will, forcing them to serve under him. Think of that. That's what he did. He didn't inspire loyalty. He demanded it at the threat of death. That's why his crew, for all its might, was a chaotic, dysfunctional collection of egos held together by fear of their captain rather than a shared dream. The Flying Six, right? The six people, I think the Tobiropo, is that what they call it? Tobiropo, is that what they call it? I forgot. Constantly vied for position, and his top commanders were bound to him by a history of defeat and subjugation. The only one that really mattered was King. King was the only one I think was actually truly loyal to Kaido. I think that was it. That was it. Not a common goal. This was the strategy of a man with not a single original idea, trying to resemble the shattered pieces of a past he couldn't even truly comprehend. It was just an echo of the Rock Pirates. That's what it is. That's all it was. His obsession with death, right? People say, oh, why didn't he just jump in the ocean? It was pathetic 'cause he didn't want to jump in the ocean. I'm pretty sure people just say that as a joke. But it's the most pathetic and revealing facet of his entire failed existence. He was a spectator of two, actually three technically, of the most profoundly meaningful deaths in the modern history of the One Piece world. So, this the legendary triumphant execution of Goldie Roger, which used the platform of his own death to ignite the whole new era of piracy. That was the whole thing. And the heroic hour-long furnace that was Kozuki Onin's final stand. Those two. Technically, he didn't get to witness Whitebeard. I guess it is two that he got to witness. Just two. It would just be two. Because I was thinking maybe Whitebeard. Whitebeard had an effect on him too, though. Whitebeard, he wanted to be Whitebeard. Because Whitebeard's reignited even more so that the One Piece was real. Odin's final stand, this is important, I don't want to forget this, was a testament to unbreakable, unshakable, unmalleable will and sacrifice for one's people. Those deaths had purpose. They were transformative, catalytic. Is that the word catalytic? Cataclysmic? No, catalytic, because catalyst, I'm thinking of the word catalytic. Catalytic events that echo through history and shape the dynasties of nations. Kaido has a profound spiritual emptiness. He became morbidly obsessed with the concept of finding a death that will be equally meaningful, that will finally stamp his name onto the pages of history with the same ink as those he worshipped. But this is the most profound, if not the greatest failure of his entire character. You cannot manufacture or stage manage a meaningful death. Can't do it. A meaningful death is the final logical consequence of a meaningful life. His constant theatrical attempts at his own life were not a genuine search for an end to suffering. They were a desperate, pathetic plea for a validation his life could never provide on its own, and he is disgusting for that. A futile hope that the final dramatic act of his miserable play, and it's funny because all of Wano was in this play format, could somehow retroactively imbue the whole tedious derivative performance with a purpose and weight that it profoundly lacked. This was such a failure. It was such a failure that his own child, his son, and this is fun because Yamato is a born woman, right? Born female. We know this, right? But because Yamato hates Kaido so much, Yamato rejected everything that Kaido gave him. Everything. Didn't just reject Kaido's tyranny. Yamato looked directly at his father, this supposedly invincible, world-shaking force of nature, the strongest creature alive, and saw through the muscle and the myth to the hollow, soulless tyrant at the core. Instead, Yamato's reverence, loyalty, and entire sense of self were poured into the memory and spirit of the man Kaido had tortured and took the life of, Kozuki Oden, the man who died laughing, carrying his loyal scabbers on his back, whose final moments were an unforgettable testament to unwavering principle, immense strength, and a profound, selfless love for his countrymen, Wano. Kaido was forced to watch his own flesh and blood literally embody the spirit of his greatest rival, a man whose single purposeful death had more lasting meaning and positive impact than Kaido's entire multi-decade reign of terror. Every time Yamato invoked Oden's name, declared themselves to be him, or fought to open Wano's borders in his stead, it was flaying Kaido's soul. Oh my, it was destroying him. A constant, living, breathing reminder that he could break Oden's body. He could destroy, he could do that, but he could never, ever, ever capture, kill, or even comprehend the indomitable spirit of samurai. And that his own child found more genuine fatherhood, guidance, and inspiration in a ghost rather than the living, breathing, strongest creature in the world. Think of that for a moment. Think of that. What's the sum total of his greatest achievement? What was the tangible legacy of this king of beasts after 20 years of absolute rule? He successfully turned the once beautiful and prosperous land of Wano into a starving, poisoned, sunless gulag. That's cool. A nation choking on industrial smog and despair. His reign as Green Bull, Ryokogu, however you say his name, Green Bull, so succinctly and insultingly pointing out upon his arrival was just a convenience. Just the convenience saying, okay, yeah, we didn't invade Wano because, Kaido was here. His mere presence, his fearsome reputation acted as a personal, perfect, natural lock on the borders of Wano, keeping the rest of the world out of the ancient, dangerous secrets of his poneglyphs. About maybe Pluton is there, maybe it's hidden away from global reach. Who knows? The world government didn't actively fear him, right? They were content, even pleased, to let him play king in his little isolated sandbox because his reign of terror was, functionally, doing their job of containment for them. That's basically what it wasn't. He wasn't a genuine threat to the world order. He didn't try to attack the world government. He just let him have his little Sims world and have his little fun. That's what happened. He was an unpaid janitor. That's what it was. He's a guard dog. That's it. And he thought that he was outstanding. He just maintained order for them, even though that's all he did. And I just gotta talk about, I love Kaido so much because he's such a failure. I like the fact that we got such a garbage backstory because he had a lack of compelling backstory. See, they say Senior Pink had a better backstory. Katakuri had a better backstory. We're giving glimpses. We got a child soldier from Vodka, a prodigy so strong that his own kingdom sold him off. But these are mere data points of power. That's all they were. That's it. They explain how he became strong. They don't explain who he is. We never learn what truly forged his nihilistic worldview behind the simple equation that might makes rights. There is no profound trauma that shaped a complex philosophy, no lost love, no betrayed ideal that twisted him. At least Doflamingo, Don Quixote, at least he was a celestial dragon and he awakened conqueror's haki upon getting burned at the stake with the rest of his family. We got that. Senior Pink, he had a tragic story with his wife and his child who he lost. That was his whole thing. That's why he wears a baby suit. We learn characters. He is, at his core, just power. That's it. His personality is a direct byproduct of his physical capabilities. This narrative emptiness, right? The whole thing, the whole point of me making this rant, this is not an oversight. It's the point. That's the point of his character. That's it. That is the entire point of Kaido. That's it. That's the reason he does this. He is a warning that a character, no matter how physically formidable, cannot be compelling if their entire identity is built upon a foundation with no emotional or philosophical deepness. He is a spectacular, and I mean this the best way, spectacular, apotheosis, monument, whatever word you want to say, with nothing inside. A testament just to the fact that without a story, power is just noise that eventually dies. And this is the worst part, right? Even his physical power, his entire claim to the title of strongest creature, was just this overarching theme of unfulfillment and a lack of mastery. You know who's a better devil fruit user? That's a Zoan. Literally everybody after Kaido. Rob Lucci. I don't know why I'm saying Lucy. Roberto Augustus Lucifer has better Zoan control. Anthony Helicopter. Anthony Chopper Helicopter has better a bit. You know what's crazy? This sucks because he has Queen, right? Kaido has Queen, who is, by every stretch of the word, one of the greatest scientists on the planet in the One Piece world. He has the philosophical mind of Einstein combined. He was on Mads, the old group. That power in his brain didn't even think, you should make a rumble ball for me or something to improve my powers so I could get better. He possessed, right? Kaido possessed one of the most coveted fruits in the world. The mythical Zoan type devil fruit, Ue no Mi Maro Seryu. A fruit that granted him the form of an ancient, majestic azure dragon, said to be the pinnacle of Zoan transformation and raw power. Yet what did he truly achieve with it? He had no creativity, nothing. He became a big flaming dragon. He relied almost exclusively on brute physical force, crushing blows, and elemental blasts of wind, fire, and lightning. There was no artistry, no deeper understanding, no creative evolution of his power. Compare this to Luffy's constant, desperate, and imaginative evolution of his own Gomu no Mi rubber fruit, right? It would be the Hita no Mi, Hita. It would be the model Nika, right? That's the whole thing. Anyways, Luffy pushed its boundaries through sheer will and creativity to literally cartoonish new heights of freedom and possibility. Kaido was given a god's power, the ability to become a legendary dragon, and could only think to use it as an ultimate blunt instrument, a sledgehammer. That's it. That's it. That's it. He never unlocked his true potential because that would require an inner creativity, a freedom of spirit, and an original thought, all things he did not possess. None of it. Because you know what they said? A devil fruit is only as good as its user. That's it. I'm talking about this for so long. His entire coping mechanism was a further deeper descent into his self-perpetuating cycle of failure and emptiness. He drank ridiculously. He tried to end his own existence, numb the agonizing, ever-present awareness of his own spiritual void. His drunken phases, the weepy, self-pitying, melancholic, the vicious, murderous rage monster, were the raw, unfiltered expressions of a soul that knew, on some fundamental level, that it was a magnificent fraud. The alcohol was the only substance that could temporarily silence the screaming contradictor within him. The being known as the strongest creature in the world, who is simultaneously powerless to define his own meaning, to earn his own child's love, or to achieve a single, just one of the grand secondhand dreams he had collected from the legends of others. That's why Kaido's always there in the background. He's there in every flashback. Why? Because he's just there. He's not doing anything. He's just there. That's it. He is just there. He is like a bazooka or a nuclear weapon. We got it. The nuclear weapon doesn't have a story. He doesn't. There's no story to the nuke. It just is. It is. His defeat was the ultimate poetic affirmation of his lifelong theme, right? He always said he would be defeated by who would ever become Joy Boy because Kaido was the gatekeeper. That's all he was. He was not toppled by a rival seeking world domination like himself, nor was he brought in by the justice of a marine admiral upholding the world government's order. He was defeated by the living, breathing embodiment of everything he fundamentally lacked. A rubbery, ridiculous boy operating on the principles of ultimate freedom. That's it. That Luffy's power was built from all unadulterated joy, limitless creativity, and the simple, profound will to protect his friends, the exact opposite of Kaido. Kaido is a great foil for Luffy because Kaido is nothing like Luffy. The full awakening of the manifestation of the sun god was the ultimate antithesis of Kaido's entire being. It was the very essence of imagination, laughter, liberation. Kaido wanted oppression, despair, stagnation, the ending of his own existence. Luffy didn't just overpower him through a greater application of force. He rendered Kaido's entire borrowed, joyless worldview obsolete and pathetic. Because this is important. Luffy failed in that fight, twice? And showed that how to fail upward. Luffy failed upward. Kaido is a failure. That's the difference. That's it. Kaido spent his whole life trying to be Roger, Zebek, Whitebeard. Kaido had his own tier list of who was at the top, how high will your ceiling go. Are you not in your own tier list at the top? Is that you just want to be like these greats? That's it? You see something in Luffy that you don't have in yourself. That's why you got so sad when you took him out. Show me what it means to be amazing. We are left with the sprawling, complex, and ultimately barren legacy of Kaido of the 100 Beasts. Not a visionary conqueror, not a true king of beasts, not a legend whose death sparked a new age or whose passing was mourned by the world. He was a wonderful, terrifying, spectacular failure. He is a cautionary tale. That's what he is. That's all he's ever going to be. He's spent his entire life trying to be a pivotal character in other people's stories, trying to die a death worthy of other people's legends, and in the end, his own story was a profound tragedy of emptiness. That's it. His only lasting impact being the vacuum he left behind, a hole in the world that was almost immediately filled by the very sunlight and hope he has spent 2 years trying to violently blot out. He was, and will always be remembered as the strongest man who never accomplished a single original thing of his own. That is the King of Beasts. I love him. He's my favorite character. I think he's amazing. I like how he fails. I like failures. I don't know. That's just me. Bye.
I'm your Nick and Night, be my loyalties low. Ooh, happy to try what you need. world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you